There once lived a man named Elias, in a small quiet town surrounded by rolling hills and golden meadows. He lived alone in an old wooden house at the edge of the village, a place filled with silence, dust, and memories that belonged to no one but him. Every morning he woke up at the same hour, drank the same cup of tea, and sat beside the same closed window. It was a large window with wooden shutters, facing the east, where the morning sun would rise, but Elias never opened it. The window had been closed for years, ever since the day his wife, Clara, passed away. She used to love that window. Every sunrise, she would open it wide, letting the light flood the room. The sound of birds, the smell of flowers, and the laughter of the world outside, all came through that window. After she was gone, Elias couldn't bear it anymore. The silence that followed was too painful. So, he locked the window, drew the curtains, and told himself, the world can stay outside. Years passed quietly. The house grew darker, and so did Elias. The world outside changed. Children grew up, trees blossomed and shed their leaves. But inside his house, time stood still. He became known in the village as the man who never opened his window. Some children made up stories about him, that he hated sunlight, or that ghosts lived in his house. But the truth was much simpler. He was afraid that if he opened the window, the light would show how much had changed. Afraid that the world had moved on without him. Afraid to face what he had lost. So, he stayed in the comfort of his dim room, surrounded by fading photos and half-forgotten dreams. One spring morning, a soft knock echoed on his door. When he opened it, a little girl stood there, the new neighbor's daughter. Her name was Lila. She was holding a small basket of flowers. "My mother told me to give you these," she said with a bright smile. Elias hesitated, unsure how to respond. She peeked inside his dark house and frowned. "Why don't you open your window? It's such a beautiful day." Elias forced a small smile. "I like it quiet." She looked confused. "But how can you hear the birds if it's quiet?" He chuckled softly, the first genuine laugh in a long time. Then he said gently, "Some people prefer peace to noise." The girl nodded, but before leaving, she said, "Maybe you're missing something beautiful." Her words stayed with him long after she left. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. The moonlight slipped through a crack in the curtain and fell across the dusty floor. He stared at it for a long time, and then at the window. He whispered to himself, "Maybe she's right, but old habits are heavy." He reached for the curtain cord and stopped. He had done this before, many times, only to step back. The next morning, Lila came again. She stood outside the window and said loudly, "Good morning, Mr. Elias. Can you see the rainbow?" He couldn't. The window was still shut. He sighed, listening to her laughter fade down the street. And then, with trembling hands, he stood up, walked to the window, and unlatched it. At first, only silence greeted him. Then, slowly, the sounds began to enter. A soft breeze brushed his face. The scent of fresh grass filled the air, and faintly, the chirping of birds echoed through the room. Elias blinked as sunlight touched his skin for the first time in years. The light was warm, gentle, alive. He stepped back, tears forming in his eyes. The world was still there, beautiful, forgiving, and patient. He smiled faintly and whispered, "I thought I lost this." Days turned into weeks. Elias began opening the window every morning. He watched the world come alive, the laughter of children, the rustle of leaves, the rhythm of life outside. He even started talking to his neighbors again. People in the village were surprised. They said, "The old man has changed." But in truth, he had simply remembered how to live. Lila often visited, and together they planted flowers in the window box, marigolds, daisies, and sunflowers. Clara's favorite. When they bloomed, Elias said softly, "She would have loved this." One day, as summer approached, Lila came to say goodbye. Her family was moving to another town. She hugged him tightly and said, "Don't close your window again, okay?" He smiled, "I won't, I promise." After she left, Elias sat by the open window as the wind whispered through the curtains. He realized something profound, that all along, he hadn't been hiding from the world. He had been hiding from himself. The window wasn't just wood and glass. It was a mirror, showing him everything he had been afraid to face. Change, loss, and the truth that life moves forward, whether we open our hearts or not. Years later, when Elias passed away, the villagers remembered him not as the man who never opened his window, but as the man who taught them to open theirs. They said he used to tell everyone, You can't stop life by closing your window, but you can miss its beauty by keeping it shut. And when people passed by his house, they always noticed one thing. The window was still open, curtains dancing softly in the wind, as if the house itself was breathing again.